Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to Pitch Talk.
We are fans of football dropping vlogs, videos and podcasts on the beautiful game.
Check out our videos on YouTube and Instagram's IGTV,
including special feature segments,
5 minutes with the G,
the Straight Shootin View,
coaching with JBK. We produce, record and edit video content
and audio on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts,
Verbal, Podomatic,
Anchor,
Spotify
and other podcast platforms.
Join the Pitch Talk revolution on Twitter, Instagram,
Facebook
and www.pitch-talk.com.
The pitch is where we eat.
The pitch is where we sleep.
And the pitch is where we talk.
I can see you now. I can see you now and then. I can see you now.
Pitch Talk podcasts and videos are brought to you in association with LE Bikes. Begin your journey into electric bikes. Visit lebikes.co.uk. Welcome to
the Straight Shootin View.
Hey everybody, what is up? My name is Straight Shootin LJA and welcome to another episode of the Straight Shootin View. Now, some news that's come out this morning as I record this is about the European Super League and FIFA and UEFA. Their rules banning clubs from joining a European Super League have been deemed unlawful. Now, I'm going to read you some of a statement quickly in regards to this, but this is very, very interesting for at least the immediate to medium term future of the game, especially at European level. From Thursday, 21st of December 2023, banning clubs from joining the European Super League was unlawful, and UEFA and FIFA are abusing a dominant position, the European Court of Justice has ruled. It had been claimed by the ESL and its backers A22 that UEFA and FIFA were breaking competition law by threatening to sanction clubs and players who joined the breakaway league. A ruling on Thursday from Europe's highest court found against the governing bodies. However, the court stated that does not mean a competition such as the Super League project must necessarily be approved. An initial report released last December by the ECJ, European Court of Justice, said the rules of football's European and world governing bodies were compatible with competition law. However, the verdict will be seen as a blow to the authority of UEFA and FIFA and how they govern the game. The report said that when new competitions are potentially entering the market, FIFA and UEFA must ensure their powers are transparent, objective, non-discriminatory and proportionate. The report adds, however, the powers of FIFA and UEFA are not subject to any such criteria. FIFA and UEFA are therefore abusing a dominant position. Moreover, given their arbitrary nature, their rules on approval, control and sanctions must be held to unjustified restrictions on the freedom to provide services. That does not mean a competition such as the Super League must necessarily be approved. The court does not rule on that specific project in its judgment. Responding to the ECJ verdict on X, formerly Twitter, A22 Chief Executive Bernd Reichart wrote that the ESL has won the right to exist. He added, UEFA's monopoly is over, football is free, clubs are now free from the threat of sanctions and free to determine their own future. For fans, we offer free broadcasting of all Super League matches. For clubs, income and solidarity expenses will be guaranteed. So, as mentioned, the ESL saga began in April 2021 when news broke that 12 teams, including English teams, Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool, Man City, Man United and Tottenham, had signed up to the breakaway competition. There was widespread anger and condemnation from fans, as mentioned here on the Straight Shootin View as well. So yeah, and the collapse happened within 72 hours. So basically, as mentioned before, the 6 clubs plus Atletico Madrid, Inter Milan, AC Milan, and were all fined by UEFA. But action against Real Madrid, Barcelona, and Juventus was halted during the legal process, although Juventus signalled their intention to quit the project in July. The ESL has not been scrapped completely, however, with Real Madrid and Barcelona remaining interested in pursuing the venture. So that becomes interesting too. As I said, Real Madrid, of course, welcomed the ruling, saying clubs will now be the masters of their own destiny. It's a great day for the history of football and a great day for the history of sports. And Spain's La Liga said in terms of European football, that European football had spoken. Today, more than ever, we reiterate that the Super League is a selfish and elitist model. Anything that is not fully open with direct access only through domestic leagues, season by season, is a closed format. So no different to the Champions League and stuff right now. But yeah, interesting. Very, very interesting stuff there. And the fact that FIFA and UEFA's rules about banning clubs joining a European Super League being deemed unlawful, even though it's not specifically about the ESL, it is one of them ones where it's very, very interesting, and some of the verbiage in there is very interesting as well, that it doesn't prohibit anybody else kind of developing their own Super League. So those seeing this maybe as a victory, saying, oh yeah, well, that means the Super League can happen. It's like, well, not necessarily, but at the same time, it can't be prohibited because obviously of competition laws. So I found it very interesting that it did talk about UEFA and FIFA abusing a position of power, because essentially that's what they were doing. They were like, well, you've got no other option. If you try and break away, then we will sanction you heavily. And it's like, well, when you're the only game in town, in regards to FIFA and UEFA, when you're basically the only game in town, you can have that sort of power and you can quite easily abuse it, because it's like, all right, cool, well, where else are you going to go? It's very much kind of like the pro wrestling industry over the past 22 years now, since WCW went under in 2001, where it's like, if people want a place to work where they're going to make decent money, well, there's only one game in town, and that's the WWE. Pure and simple. Anywhere else, yeah, you'll do okay, but you may not make a full-time living. And also as well, if you get blackballed by that company, you really haven't got anywhere else to work where you can make decent money. So that's basically a monopoly. And FIFA and UEFA, when it comes to world and European football, they are the monopoly. So it is one of them ones where, as I said, it is very interesting that this ruling has come out about FIFA and UEFA basically sanctioning for joining any sort of breakaway league being unlawful, because it does potentially open the door in the future. And you know that these clubs are going to try and do it again. And as I said back in, I think it was 2021, when we saw the original Super League stuff, and 2022, it's a case of, it's delaying the inevitable. UEFA coming down, and they've basically made their own Super League in regards to the Champions League and those changes, which come into effect next season, 2024-2025. And as I've said before, UEFA were pissed that they got beaten to the punch. So it's going to be interesting to see the ramifications of this in the medium term, short term, and especially the long term as well, because it's one of them where we shall really see now the lay of the land in regards to, I said, European football and world football and the governing bodies, and seeing how they react react to this, because you know they're going to come out swinging. UEFA and FIFA are not going to take this lying down. They'll probably try and take it to the Court of Arbitration for Sport and appeal the decision. So, I said, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens next in regards to this, because I said, when the ESL got shut down, I said I just felt it was delaying the inevitable, because there is going to be a breakaway league. It's literally like every generation, every 25 or so years, you see murmurings of a breakaway league. You look at, as I said before, you look at the Premier League. The Premier League is a breakaway league. It literally is. So it's not outside the realms of possibility for it to happen at European level, especially as people get annoyed at the monopoly that UEFA have. And FIFA stepping in as well becomes interesting, because obviously of all the good old boy networks and all that. But at the same time, it's kind of like, well, you can't limit competition by European law, by like right to work and all that. You can't limit competition, and you also can't limit, which is why a salary cap has never worked or never been implemented. You can't limit what someone can earn. You can't. So it's like freedom of movement, freedom of trade. You can't limit these things. You can't say, no, you can't form a breakaway league, because you're essentially limiting freedom of movement, freedom of trade. It can't be done. So I think that's why this has been, FIFA and UEFA have been deemed as unlawful with their rules prohibiting any sort of breakaway league. But as I said, the next stage is going to be very interesting, where we will see truly the lay of the land over the next few months, maybe the next year or two. We'll see where this goes. But immediately, it's a victory for the clubs. Very much so. Because the clubs will be like, the clubs who wanted to join the breakaway league will be like, okay, cool. We may not be able to join that one right now because that one fell apart, but let's build something in the background. And I think a lot of these clubs, there's going to be another quote unquote threat to UEFA and FIFA's dominance and monopoly. There will be another one. Whether it's called a Super League or not, whatever the name of it, there is going to be another threat. Because as I said at the time, when the Super League collapsed, delaying the inevitable. It very much is. Because it's going to happen. There's going to be a breakaway of some sort, I feel. There has been an interesting little update as well from the BBC's website. Once again, Thursday, 21st of December 2023. The company who backed the European Super League, A22, has launched a new proposal for men's and women's European competitions. They are not letting the grass grow under their feet, because the proposal is a league system with 64 men's clubs across 3 leagues with participation based on sporting merit and no permanent members. The women's competition would include 32 clubs across 2 leagues. And this comes literally, an hour or two after the decision from the European Court of Justice which said that banning clubs from joining the European Super League was unlawful. So, yeah, this is very, very interesting. And I said, not long at all after what happened. So, yeah, this is very interesting. No clubs or prize money have yet been announced in the A22 proposal, but an annual promotion and relegation system would be in place. In the men's competition, the top tiers, the Star League and Gold League, would consist of 16 teams, while the Blue League, the bottom tier, would consist of 32 clubs, and fans would also be able to watch live matches for free on a new digital streaming platform. So, yeah, that makes things very interesting, especially that last bit. You look at it. You look at the Premier League, and what they did with flawless IPTV and the way they went after them, and especially my friend Mark Gould. The fact that this European Super League, the A22 concept, that clearly they've been planning, waiting for this ECJ ruling to drop, because they've not just come up with this morning. There's been some thought about this, but it's interesting to see that they would basically broadcast and stream live matches for free on a live digital platform. That is extremely interesting after the whole flawless situation and how hard the Premier League went at them. So yeah, that makes things very interesting. Also as well, I think it was someone, one of the Pitch Talk followers, Carbon Robert, on Twitter, basically was talking about when the clubs were sanctioned. Obviously they were financially sanctioned, and it was one of them ones where, well, are those clubs going to try and get their money back? To which I think to myself, you know what, there's not really much of a point. What's been done has been done, and the clubs who got sanctioned for wanting to join the breakaway ESL that A22 were behind, the bigger fuck you would be if those clubs who were sanctioned were just like, all right, cool. Remember how you sanctioned us? Remember how you were? We're leaving. We're done. And you can't stop us. That would be the bigger fuck you, to coin a phrase, than trying to get back whatever thousands of pounds they were sanctioned. So yeah, this is going to be very interesting for the short, medium and long-term future of football. And you know FIFA and UEFA are not happy about this. So yeah, it's going to be very, very interesting to see this, because some people say, oh yeah, football is now free to do what it wants. It's like, if there's one thing you don't want, is a kind of Wild West when it comes to this kind of thing. Because yeah, and if anarchy rules, it's not great, it's not ideal at all. So yeah, this is going to be very interesting to see which way everything goes, to be perfectly honest. But you know what, I want to know your views. www.pitch-talk.com. What do you think of FIFA and UEFA and their rules against a European Super League being deemed unlawful? What are your thoughts on it? Does it open the door for another breakaway league, maybe a year or 2 or 5 years down the line? Do you think the clubs are going to get together now, the ones who wanted to join the ESL? Do you think they're going to be like, okay, cool, we now have an opportunity and legally we can't be stopped? Let me know your views. www.pitch-talk.com is the official website. youtube.com/pitchtalk for all of our videos, including our legacy content, Pitch Talk on the Road, Pitch Talk Meets, and much more. Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and many other sources. Wherever you pick up your podcasts is where you can find the Pitch Talk podcast. Also, as well, at Pitch Talk on Twitter, tweet with us, follow us, see what we're up to. We're on Reddit, at Pitch Talk on Reddit, at Pitch Talk on Instagram for vlogs/podcast previews and more. Facebook.com/Pitch Talk. Become a fan, become a friend, become a member of the group. Join the footballing revolution we are working so hard to create. So many places where you can catch us. Hey, and we're always there to have a chat as well. I have been Straight Shootin LJA, and until next time on the Straight Shootin View, see you later, people. Take care.
Join the Pitch Talk revolution.
Check out the official Pitch Talk website,
www.pitch-talk.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to Pitch Talk.
We are fans of football dropping vlogs, videos and podcasts on the beautiful game.
Check out our videos on YouTube and Instagram's IGTV,
including special feature segments,
5 minutes with the G,
the Straight Shootin View,
coaching with JBK. We produce, record and edit video content,
and
audio on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts,
Verbal, Podomatic,
Anchor,
Spotify
and other podcast platforms.
Join the Pitch Talk revolution on Twitter, Instagram,
Facebook,
and www.pitch-talk.com.
The pitch is where we eat.
The pitch is where we sleep.
And the pitch is where we talk.
I can see you now.